Hey, it's Lab Rats! This time we'll be experimenting with goo to successfully create a slime. Let's see whether it's possible or not. The first recipe is quite easy. Let's begin. We start by pouring out a jar of pre-made goo into the bowl. Then we add a spray of shaving cream and mix it all well. As you can see, it's not a short process. Shaving cream and goo resist being blended into each other. However, after some blending they give in to it. We end up with the goo looking more cloudy and having lost its initial texture. It is breaking apart much easier now. The next step is to add a few drops of sodium tetraborate. We mix it in. There aren't any visible changes so far in the mixture, but we still have a couple of steps to the recipe left. Now we add a couple of squirts of a hand cream. And mix, mix, mix. Now we've got to check the consistency of the mass. It is not as stretchy as a slime so far. We can even say that it has gotten a bit worse, so we continue. We have one more ingredient to add. It helps really well in even the most desperate cases. It is baking soda. We add it last and mix it well as always. So what do we have here? Doesn't look like the recipe has worked out. It just looks like we have destroyed that jar of pre-made goo. Last chance to save it, we add a bit more of the shaving cream because sometimes the recipe doesn't work because we haven't added enough of it. The shaving cream consists of lotion, alcohol and carbon dioxide. Perhaps one of those components would cause the needed reaction. But no matter how much we try, the recipe does not seem to work. Oh well, we tried. We hope the next one will turn out better. This time we have precise measurements of the components. 1 jar of pre-made goo, 2 tablespoons of shaving cream. Remember, last time it didn't save the day but rather made the goo divide into layers. Next ingredient is 1 tablespoon of the Elmer's glue. It is a common ingredient in the slime recipe, so there is hope for us. The result is quite a dense mass, which sadly does not stretch but tears into pieces. But this is not just the end of the recipe. The last ingredient is a bit of toothpaste, right about the size of a pea. Make sure to mix it quite well into the mass. Undoubtedly the result is quite satisfying. It is kneaded, it is indeed stretchy, but we want to try to improve it by adding more Elmer's glue. We mix it again and voila! It becomes a wonderful example of a stretchy homogeneous slime that we aspire to make. Plus, when you squish it, it makes fun sounds. The only odd thing about it is that it reminds us quite a bit of the jelly, and we blame it on having the goo as the main ingredient. The following recipe looks very weird to me, and I feel obliged to check it out. Pour the entire jar of goo into a bowl. We will add some toothpaste to it, which usually makes the slime softer. We should add it to the mass gradually until both ingredients are mixed well into each other. See? The consistency of the mixture is very strange. It is very soft and tangy, and it sticks to your fingers like glue. Now we should add some thickener to the mass. We chose Elmer's activator for it. As you can see, the mass is easily stretched into a thin film, but it is still very sticky. Look how liquid it has become. It is borderline impossible to hold it in your hands. So we add more activator to it in the hope of making it thicker, but it reacts with the blend in an unexpected manner. It just made it even more soft and liquid. So I guess if you're a fan of goo, follow the recipe and chase your siblings with it. But if you're into normal slimes, continue watching our next recipe. Take another jar of goo and pour it into a bowl. And once again, we will be needing some toothpaste. The hardest part is to make the toothpaste fall into the bowl. Just like we've seen before, goo and toothpaste don't mix very easily, so be prepared to give it a bit more time than usual. Add some Elmer's glue. Mix. And then add some Elmer's activator. Mix, mix, mix again. It feels like we made a mistake adding the activator. Let's see if we can improve the situation with some dish soap. Mix, mix, mix. Do you see how it is foaming up? We cannot believe that we are making a fluffy slime using goo. Let's try to take it into our hands. Oh, it doesn't look like this recipe has worked out for any kind of slime. Too bad. The funny part is that it feels like the foam with bits and pieces of goo inside of it. We can't put heads around how we can solve such a problem, so we decide to add some sodium tetraborate as the last resort. It doesn't work either. So far we are succeeding at destruction of pre-made goo we got at the store. Here goes, our last attempt to get a great slime out of goo. We pour it out of the jar into the bowl and put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. The consistency was jelly before, and now that it is very hot, it hasn't become more liquid like the recipe promised. So we decided to put it back in the microwave for 30 more seconds. The slime started boiling whilst it was in the microwave and almost has spilled over. And still no water separated from the goo, neither has it become more liquid. It is just very, very hot. So we thought that we should continue with the recipe regardless and added the second component, the light Play-Doh. Then we should mix them together. The goo is still very hot, so no matter how hard it is, we should use the spoon to do it and not our hands. Looks like they are kind of mixing it, but not too well. Perhaps it is because the goo is still hot and it melts the Play-Doh too. Nevertheless, the mass is far from homogeneous. Looks like the recipe is not accurate, but we are not lab rats for nothing. We don't give up just yet and add some Elmer's glue to the mass. Mix it first with a spoon and then with your hands. Perhaps repeat the glue part once more. It looks like we're onto something. The slime has turned out to be too thick, so we add a bit of toothpaste. And yes, it has worked. So we conclude that the goo is only useful in the recipes that also contain glue. Because it is originally made with a thickener compatible with it. Hey you, get subscribed to our channel so you'd never miss out on our experiments, and until the next time.